Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 20th of July, 2024. I'm joined, as usual, by psychic medium and remote viewer, Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
We've missed you. We've missed you, Mr. Shakespeare. Where have you been?
I've been in the Lake District, but due to a mix-up, I actually got back before you thought I was back. But yes, we've been in the Lake District, which is in
Ah,
the northwest of England.
did you have a good time?
Yeah. We went on Lake Coniston. That's where Campbell did his land boat speed record before he killed himself, unfortunately. But Bluebird. But yeah, it was all right. The weather was good in the beginning, good in the end, and shockingly bad in the middle. But there you go. That's England for you.
And that's just the day, right?
Well, it just rained. I mean, everybody. I tell you what, I did notice in the Lake District. There was one thing that I noticed that it was unbelievably dog friendly. What I mean by that is all the hotels, bed and breakfast, guest rooms, pretty much all of them said you could have your dogs, all the cafes, restaurants, everything, bring your animals in. It was not a problem. That was something I really did notice. So anyway,
Wow, that's amazing. So,
I
did you
know
take your dog?
we haven't got a dog anymore, but they both passed. So no, we didn't.
Oh, I knew the answer to that,
I know
but
you didn't answer that.
all right, for the benefit of the audience.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so somebody wanted us to probe the upcoming ETFs for Ethereum. By the way, Mr. Shakespeare, I'm going to call a hit on that for all of us because somehow you guys eked it out of me. It would be July for the ETH. I called that a few months ago, and look, here
Yeah.
we are.
Yes, you did. That's very good. Right, so we've got a website portal called blockworks.co, and they seem to have. I've done zero research on this, by the way. I've been out of the loop on the Ethereum ETFs, so these are all new to me. Um, so this is a bit of homework for me, I guess. Anyway, there's a bunch of ETFs on the Ethereum chain that have been approved. You can see them down on the right-hand side there. They're running, and then there's another bunch of them, including the BlackRock one, the Grayscale one, the Van Eck one, the Valkyrie one. They are pending, which means I don't know. Anyway, let's grab blockworks.co, please, Liz.
Oh, okay. Blockworks.co. Okay, I've got them.
Okay. How far out should we go to see how they're doing? Because I mean, some of these are running now, and some of them are pending. So,
I think 3 months.
yeah, all right.
Mhm.
Let's go out 3 months then.
So October. Is that right? Yeah. August, September, October. Sorry, it's early. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. October 20th, 2024, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What would you like to know? The BlackRock one has been approved, by the way.
Right. So, which one has performed the out of all these? Which one has performed the best so far?
Is what is it? The grayscale? Is there a grayscale one?
Yes, there is. Um, yeah,
And it to me, I think that it's more important to hold spot than futures. What do
of
you
course.
think?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is
But there's very
grayscale
few, but look at it. There's very few spot here. There's Ark Invest, there's Grayscale, there's the BlackRock one, the Hashdex, Investco, and the Fidelity. So it's all the big hitters that are doing spot. The rest of them are basing it on the futures market. All the ones that are currently running at the moment, as of today, are all on the futures, based on the futures price.
hmm.
I don't think that's good. I don't know.
Can you explain that to me, please, about the futures? Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. As I say, I've done zero research on the Ethereum ETFs, but the spot one is they're going based on the spot. I'm assuming, this is my supposition, that they are holding the Ethereum as an underlying asset, whereas I think the other ones are betting on the future price of that. I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were doing this one today, so I have not
No.
my research. But I would imagine that they're looking into they're basically they're betting on the future price of Ethereum, which there's volatility in. There's more volatility in that than basing it off the spot price on any given day, I would imagine.
The problem with Ethereum is that it's unlimited supply.
Correct.
Okay. Is BlackRock's Ethereum ETF, is that the top performing Ethereum on the stock exchange? It is. And what about Grayscale? Grayscale's a close second.
Well, it doesn't really surprise me that the biggest heavy hitters are, because that's the ones that the IFAs and the people are going to put the money towards, the names that you've heard. So, you would imagine that Fidelity would do good, Invesco, Galaxy would do good, BlackRock, of course, Grayscale. I mean, those should be the four heavy hitters. On
Fidelity actually is not great. 3 months
Okay.
out, it's slow. They're
Okay.
not plugging it enough.
Right.
Invesco, again, not great. Hashdex. No, that's way down. And what's the other one? The BlackRock one, that's number one. Grayscale is a close second, very
Right.
close second to BlackRock. So those are going to be your 3 months out, your two best Ethereum ETFs.
Well, let's play fun and game. Let's go 9 months out and see what we'll do.
Okay, so now you're asking me to calculate 9 months out in my head. Let's see.
Well,
No.
let's call it the 3rd of May next year.
Okay. The 3rd of May next year. All right. May 3rd, 2024, sorry, scrap. May 3rd, 2025, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What would you like to know?
Is BlackRock still the number one ETF on Ethereum ETF?
Is BlackRock still the number one ETF on Ethereum? By far.
And is Grayscale number two?
Is Grayscale number two? Yes, it is number two. Fidelity has now caught up. It's gaining ground.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we don't need to know anything else, really, do we?
Well, then this leads to Coinbase, right? Because Coinbase is actually on the stock market as well. So let's ask this question. Do we see an increased price for Coinbase overall? We do. We do.
Okay. But I mean, this is nothing to do with Coinbase because these ETFs are traded as synthetic products on the stock exchange. Whereas Coinbase, although it's quoted on the stock exchange, is obviously dealing in the buying and selling and whatever investing of cryptocurrencies. So they shouldn't really. The only thing that there should be a correlation of is, I mean, if by this time, like say May, June next year, we're starting to be in a good bull run generally, then a rising tide will raise all the ships, won't it? So it will raise all the products. So crypto should be doing well. These should be doing well. It should be, we should be back to happy times again.
A rising tide raises all the ships. I like that. But the thing is with these companies, BlackRock in particular, let's ask this question. I'm going to grab BlackRock as an entity. Are you going to purchase your Ethereum through Coinbase? Yes, and that is the only way. It just came back to me and said that. So that when you have these big companies only using Coinbase
Well,
to
yeah,
buy
because
their
Coinbase,
shares.
because it's a regulated company on the stock exchange, so they can do that. They can't use Bill's exchange on the corner of Main Street because it's not regulated. They're not allowed to use it. They can only use regulated companies. They're regulated themselves. They can only deal in regulated assets and companies. So yes, it doesn't surprise me that all this stuff comes through Coinbase. So which then helps Coinbase is making a profit on it, and that helps Coinbase as a company, which therefore reflects on its stock price.
But does Coinbase have the liquidity?
Well, I would say it can, because we've already answered that question. There is no amount to the amount of Ethereum that could be created.
Okay, so let's ask Coinbase. When BlackRock and these ETFs are buying Bitcoin and other crypto products through you for spot holdings, are you giving them 1-for-1? No. They're only holding about 60%.
Okay. Oh, so they're doing a fractional reserve thing again then.
Yes. Could you explain what fractional reserve is for our new people?
Sure, fractional reserve came out of a situation many, many years ago when money was basically gold. Everybody paid in gold to each other. And after a while, it was noted that some people were holding gold, and not everybody wanted to pick up their gold at any one time. And so it was the Rothschilds, or the Bowers as they were then called, that they were gold holders. They started this. They're credited with discovering how this worked, which then spread to everything, of which is now in mainstream banking and mainstream just about everything. How it works is simply this. Let's say that 10 people all deposited 10 ounces of gold in the gold holding company. All right. Every now and again, people would come and say, I want my gold, please. And so they'd have to give them their gold back. But then some other people might come in and put their gold for safekeeping. And over a period of time, it was worked out that on any given day or week, about 10% of the gold was redeemable. In other words, there were people queuing up at the door saying, can I have my 10 ounces of gold or 2 ounces of gold or whatever? And it made up 10% of the total gold holding. So what these bankers did, they decided to start lending out that gold at interest. Now that's fine, providing not everybody comes for their gold at any one time. And for a long while this worked. And then, occasionally they might get caught out, but generally it was around the 10%. And how that's worked in now is that, so if you have, say, $1 million on deposit, you are allowed to lend out 10 million. Because don't forget, that's how the fractional reserve works on banking. But bear in mind, they don't actually lend you anything. They just create the credit when you agree to pay it back. But it's supposed to work on a 10-to-1 basis. And that's what it did for many years. However, bankers are greedy and they realized that they could do more than that. So we've had instances of 20, 30, 40, 50-to-1 they hold out. And when the case of Northern Rock, which was a privatized building society in the UK, they went to a bank status and they went absolutely crazy. They were lending out at 150-to-1 when they went bust. So it meant, they were way exceeding the guidelines given to them by the Bank of England. They were also way exceeding the guidelines that other banks were doing. They just went crazy, and because of the fees they were earning and pocketing and everything else. Unfortunately, though, because they were so far leveraged the wrong way, when people wanted to get their money out, that's what sent on a bank run, and that's what happens on a bank run. No banks hold 1-to-1 for the money. So if a bank's total liquid position is 100 million, they might have somewhere between 10 and 40 of that. Yeah, they don't have. So that's how fractional reserve works. And that's been now applied to everything. All crypto exchanges work on the fractional reserve. They do not have every Bitcoin that they say they have. They just know that most people on any given day do not want to try and pull their coins out. So, if they're working on a 60%, okay, well, that's nearly 2 to 1. That's still, it means that they only have to hold 60% of somebody's a Bitcoin, because they know that most people don't, want to withdraw on every minute of every day. I mean, this is a subject this is one of the problems since America was taken off the gold standard by Nixon temporarily in 71 and then completely in 73. If you look at the St. Louis Fed's charts, you can see where the inflation started. There was no real inflation in America before that. And then because it's not backed by gold anymore, they literally can just turn the money printers on, and that creates inflation. The more circulation of money that's around, the more inflation there is. So does not surprise me that Coinbase work on a 60%. I mean, we did a big probe a year or two ago on all the crypto exchanges and everything, if you remember, Liz. And we got some of them, were as high as 10 to 1. In other words, you think they've got 10 Bitcoin, or you think they've got 10, but they've only got 10 Ethereum, but they've only got one. Those were some of the worst of them. So, this is always a problem with fractional reserve. They do it because they know that in a normal, healthy economy, most people don't take their money out. They keep it there. And wherever there is, they only take it out in times of trouble. And that's what then causes bank runs, crypto runs, exchange runs, anything, because they do not have the funds to pay their creditors. Which is why, in the case of cryptos, we always say, not your keys, not your money. So, in other words, if you are not holding it on your own wallet, it's not yours. You have a claim on that exchange. You have a claim on something. Yeah. But if you've got it in your own wallet, if I've got a Bitcoin in my wallet, in my personal wallet, then it's mine. I mean, there's nobody else claiming it. If I've got one sitting on my Coinbase account, well, maybe there's 2 or 3 claims for every one there. And again, unless there's times of trouble, I wouldn't think to go and withdraw my coin off the account because I might need it to trade or do something, but this is what happens when markets panic. People go to withdraw and sell their stuff. They always do that. This is human nature, and this is how we have these big runs on banks and on crypto exchanges and everything else, and they're legally allowed to do it, by the way. Cryptos are not regulated in the same way. Banks are regulated. It's guidelines from the central bank of what they allow their liquidity ratios. And I think under Basel III, there are new guidelines of what they're supposed to be doing. But, what they're supposed to do and what they actually do sometimes don't match. That would be worth doing another probe on, actually, finding out the state of the world's financial systems, because there is so much debt in the world, private, sort of debt. I mean, and it's impossible to pay. So it would be good to find some hotspots, Liz. So if we could find any potential problem areas. I mean, somebody would say, well, every area is a problem area, and yes, to a point, it's true. But there are some institutions that definitely, can weather storms better than others. Yeah.
That's why I like BlackRock, because we have probed every which way, and BlackRock is usually not financial advice, but usually too big to fail. There's too much in it. And I think we did that probe as well. But it would be interesting to do the probe on the debt. I think that's excellent. Because if every country's in debt, how are they ever gonna pay it off? How are we ever gonna be solvent? Who knows?
Well, they're never okay. So the central debts are not designed to be paid off. People have to understand that they're not actually designed to be ever paid off because they're bookkeeping entries in the first place. Okay, it's the interest on the debt that we're all on the hook for. The taxpayers are on the hook for, not the debt itself. So, in other words, if the central bank issues money to the U.S. government by way of and then accepts treasuries or whatever in return. Then, when those treasuries are paid back, the central bank doesn't get that money; it just retires it. It's a bookkeeping entry, but it's the coupon payments that they get, you know, month after month. This is what they're interested in. As is anybody, any private bank that advances you so-called money to buy a mortgage or anything like that. If you take a mortgage out with XYZ Bank, they don't give you any money. They just loan you the credit. They issue the credit. They actually deal in credit. So they issue the credit that's used to buy your property. But if you pay that property, you pay the coupon payments, i.e., mortgage payments every year, say for 5 years. And then one day you decide, oh, I don't want this house anymore. I want to sell it. So you sell it. Well, the original loan, that all that happens to that loan is it gets struck off. The bank's balance sheet does not go up by that amount of money. It gets zeroed out. It was created out of nothing. It goes back to nothing. But what has the bank earned in the meantime? Perfectly legally, because they have a banking license. They have a license to do things that if you and I did, it would be illegal. But they've earned interest. So you've been paying the payments every month for the last 5 years. All of that is legitimate income for the bank.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's great. Well, thanks so much for doing this probe. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
And welcome back, Mr. Shakespeare.
Okay. Thank you.